there, gang, and welcome back to that episode of Dortmund with me, Dr. GFM. Of course, Football Manager invited me down to play the Alpha, and this is some footage from that event. So, folks, welcome to the scouting induction. Of course, we're going to try and apply this to Dortmund the best we can, but your scouting team is responsible for identifying potential additions to your squad. Assignments and reports are undertaken and filed by a dedicated staff member covering a wide area in search of the very best players for you to consider bringing into the club. Scouting. That was that's a good explanation, Sports Interactive. So, of course, this is the scouting centre, and, I wasn't a huge fan of it last time. Hopefully by now you will have watched my top 10 screens, and the scouting cards are amongst my favourite. We'll look at those in just a moment. But here then, it does allow you to, first things first, select your scouting packages. Now, as I'm Borussia Dortmund, I'm going to go for the big boy scout package, and although it costs a little bit more and it will take up some of the budget, we're going big with it. And youth package wise, I think I'm going to do the same thing. European, the whole of Europe I want. So then let's take the scouting induction right now. So welcome to the scouting centre, and you can already see the hub in front of you is very much improved on last year. I will very quickly show you a screenshot of last year's cards, and sort of away they go. And now this year's cards. Take a look at what we're working with. There's so much more information, so much more detail, and much better too. Attributes, position, role, and medical, all there. Obviously, we're still going through the induction, so I can't click anything yet. But I think you'll agree, just by looking at it, much improved. Right, next stage then, as we go through. These are the recommendations then. They're formed, as I say, in like report cards with the key information about the player. So much more key information than last time, though, and that's the key thing for me. Now, this year, there's a preferences tab. So I'll read the top, though, because I think this is interesting. I think you'll want to know this, that you're now able to control the frequency of the reports delivered to the scouting centre. You can have different settings for during, outside, and inside of transfer windows as well, which I think will really improve. So basically, when you're mid-November, and it's well after the summer window, but it's too early before the winter one, if you don't want any sort of scout reports going your way, you don't have to deal with them then. But December rolls round, then you might want to apply them. All entries can be filtered by a minimum recommendation level. I think you could do something similar last year, but it's much clearer this year, and by various members of the recruitment team, allowing you to have full control over your scouting cards. Much more control over much better cards. That's the summary. Of course, you can still acknowledge and discard, as well as making an offer from this page, or just simply scouting them, or declaring them as a top target, which I don't think you could do last year. You now have your list of scouts as well under the assignments tab, so you can assign them whatever you want them to be doing. Generally I'll have a few guys look at the sort of the local areas, and then I'll sort of branch out as much as possible, especially if I've got a wide scouting network. I want them all over the world. If you've got specific nationalities for certain scouts, they often do better in those countries, so do bear that in mind when you're assigning your scouts. Don't just do it willy-nilly. And of course, if you would rather not deal with all of this, you can decide to allow your backroom staff to do it. What you can now, sort of right now, it forces you really to either say, I'll do it, or the backroom staff will do it. And for now, I'm going to be doing it. So, manager, please. Of course, you can go back and change that at any point. You're not locked into doing it forever now. But you can see, look, now you've got your inbox delivery options. So during the transfer window, you can decide, okay, I want one every single week with X amount of entries. Equally, outside of the transfer window, just once every month. So you're not bombarded with stuff in the inbox. I think sometimes you'd get recommendations for players that it just wasn't on your mind at that point. Whereas now, far more limited if you wish it to be limited, or far more frequently if you want them more and more. It works both ways. Also, two little tick boxes here, which I think are really good for transfers. Stop scouting a player if he's transferred to another club. Ordinarily, for certain players, I actually think that's really good. I had a problem last year especially when I was a lower league side, building my way up through the divisions. Even when I was in the Championship, I was still getting reports for players in sort of League 2 and below, which wasn't very useful. So I'm actually going to tick that, because I think if they've moved to a different club, they've clearly shown no interest in me. Although I might want to scout them again in the future, I can always put them on a shortlist. And as you can see from the filters as well, you see the recommendations are there's so many more little filters that make it obvious. Before you could filter it, but it just wasn't clear as to what you would be getting. This year, I think it's far more clear. So if you only want to be told about minimum recommendation levels above 80, then you can select 80. It's perfect. You could do that last year, I say, but it's just a lot clearer this year. Intuitive. That's my word of the year. Okay then, folks, I've mentioned it a few times then. Let's make ourselves an offer for a player, and I quite like the look of Timo Werner. I think he would be the perfect player up front, perfect pressing forward to fit into my system. I do think Alcacer is a really good option, but I think having a player like Timo Werner from a rival as well would be perfect. So, of course, we'll scout him as you would normally, but we are going to go straight in and make a transfer offer and see what Red Bull Leipzig say. So it's currently valued at 29.5 million. So I'm going to go in with around a £40 million offer. The problem is right now, we don't quite have the transfer budget to do this. So I think what we might have to do is sell someone, and Shinji Kagawa might be in trouble, viewers. Right, that's going to take us to 42 million, so we'll suggest those terms. They've come back with 58 million, which I'm not too happy about. Let's sort of meet in the middle here, Red Bull. Let's go to 50 million and see what they say about that. So we're doing 25 over 2 periods and profit from next sale, which doesn't come into account too much for me. Okay then, that looks all sorted. Finalise the offer then, off to Leipzig it goes, and hopefully it's all agreed. Of course, though, we do have to make some room for Timo Werner to come in. So Shinji Kagawa is already wanted by a few clubs, so we're going to try and put him out there. Let's see if anyone fancies him for sort of 25 million-ish. We'll go 24. I'm feeling reasonable. We'll transfer this to as well. We'll see if we get any offers. Of course, on the scouting screen, you still have the knowledge area, which I've got to say, the map looks nice, doesn't it? Just looks more colourful, a little more engaging. Simple things this year that have just been beautifully improved. You, of course, still have your shortlist, which so far for me only has Timo Werner on it, as well as your assignments, as mentioned before, and your priorities and assignments. Right now, we're very much looking at Timo Werner. We want Timo Werner. He's the one I want. I want all my scouts on him at the moment. And you can see here that under players scouted so far, a list of all the players that we've looked at, and you can obviously filter it by recommendation this year. Far better. And if you're getting new report cards come in, again, you can list those in a very similar fashion as to how you've got this scouted list in front of you. I think the actual stats you get, or the information columns, are exactly the same. So with the squad so far, I'm relatively happy. There might be some room to move a few other players on. It's interesting with the tactics that, of course, we've got Witsel playing in there in the centre at the moment. If we were to push him further forward, Mario Götze could potentially become part of a different tactic if we were to play a player in this role. Oh, something very special that I quite like for you. And this is very simple, but you might not have seen it yet, and it's wonderful. If I just change these two players round, they switch on screen like that. Even if I was to change those two, look, they switch like that. It's just the little things, Jules. It's the little things. While we're on the subject of transfers as well, something that's really nice that they've never done before is that although we are very much within a transfer window, and all of these transfers in theory take place at the very start of the save, obviously because they've already happened and the transfer windows have passed, they now show the transfers that you've made in the summer window, or the game had made, or the club had made in real life. So Thomas Delaney and the like have all moved already. Axel Witsel, of course, Alcacer on over from Barcelona. It's all there, already there. So you don't have to wonder, oh, who have we brought in? Because sometimes you'll come to a new club and you'll be like, oh, I'll move this guy on, and then you realise, oh, he's just signed. If you're not too familiar with the club, I imagine that happens to people quite often. But now it's nice. You can see how much the club have spent as well. I'm all in favour of it, let's put it that way. Financially, Dortmund are in a really good spot, so I'm not sure what we're going to do. And actually, while we're here, I just want to show you the salary commitment screen. It was very much in my hope. I think I would have definitely put it in my top 10 video for screens, but I really love this. I love how you can now see then that the wages and how it will impact future seasons. You've got your totals down the bottom there. Obviously, if you've got a player, say he's on £20,000 a week, and then in a few years he's had this 10% wage increase yearly, it will go up and up and up. I think we've got one option here. I think Jadon Sancho is an example of that. Yeah, if you focus on that one very quickly, you can see starts on 38,500, and in 4 years' time, if we don't offer him a new contract or anything, it'll be on 51,000. I just think there's a really nice element to have in there. It's a new screen to the game. It wasn't there last year, and yeah, I'm a big fan of it. It helps you to plan for the future. And with my main save that'll be coming up later this year in a place that isn't Europe, hopefully you'll look forward to that. I'll be using this a lot. Just in case anyone was concerned, you can still change the wage budget, transfer budgets, depending if you just want to squeeze through transfers that are a little bit tight on the budgets. Right, I just want to see then if we can get to the contract stage with Werner, and we can. Right then, signing on fee. We'll lower a few of these. Transfer-wise, the contracts look very similar to last year. I'm not going to pretend they don't. So, I mean, if you got used to them last year and you liked them last year, there is a kind of a rule with Football Manager. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I think really transfer contracts, at least, were very much fine as they were last year. All right, we're going to lower the wage a little bit to 80,000 and suggest the terms, and he was absolutely fine with that. I've just realised there's a release fee in there, but like, we'll still make money on him. It's fine. Probably should have thought about that. Equally, he's got a yearly wage rise, but that'll look nice in the salary commitment screen, so it's fine. Right, then that's going to do us for the scouting episode of this series. Tomorrow, we were going to look at the training, which I think people are very excited about, me included. It should be a good one. The training induction. Massive changes to training this year. Little sneak preview. Oh, I'll see you for it tomorrow. If you enjoyed this video, please do leave a like. If you want to see some more, subscribe to the channel. And let me know about scouting. Do you think it looks good? Looking forward to using it? Let me know in the comment section down below. We love with care then. From until next time. Goodbye. If you enjoyed the video, please do leave a like. And as I say before, if you want to see more, subscribe to the channel. There's some videos on screen there that if you've missed, you can catch up with or look forward to in the future.